In the spirit of being thorough, we want to not only show you commercial documents, purchase orders, commercial invoice, etc., we also want to show transportation documents. Cargo needs to be as identifiable from a shipping perspective as it does from a commercial perspective. And what we're looking at here is an airway bill. Just like a passenger on an aircraft, on a ship or an aircraft needs a ticket, cargo needs a ticket. So think in terms of an airway bill or an ocean bill of lading or a truck bill of lading as being analogous to a ticket for cargo that identifies who the seller is or who's the shipper, as we see here, who's the consignee, where it's going, what's the quantity, what's the Incoterm rule, all of the details around the physical shipment of the goods. One thing I'll point out here, you see a little bit different terminology. Shipper and consignee. I've been talking about things like sellers and buyers, importers and exporters. In the end, these are all synonymous terms. So a shipper, just to clarify, seller, exporter, consignee, buyer, importer. But this is the terminology you will indeed see on transport documents, be they an ocean bill of lading, a airway bill, a truck bill of lading, a rail bill of lading. So when a freight forwarder, which is the entity up here for this particular shipment, receives instructions to ship, this is what they're going to prepare. They're going to match up this document that they prepare, they being the freight forwarder, with the commercial documents, with the packing list, and move the goods accordingly. So let's have a look. What do we have going on here? Our shipper is a company out of Manchester, England, Cromwell Sterling. Our consignee is a buyer in the U.S., in Springfield, Massachusetts. Sturbridge is in Massachusetts too. It's actually close by. But the company is called Sturbridge Importers, LLC. So we know automatically when we look at this document that the shipment is going from England, Manchester, to Springfield, Massachusetts. Every airway bill is going to have an airway bill number. That's what you see up here. Every bill of lading, ocean bill of lading, truck bill, rail bill is going to have a number associated, yet another cross-referenceable number to help us identify what's what in the supply chain. Let's continue along. An agent's IATA code, we don't need to worry about that too much. Every air freight forwarder has to have a license to operate through the International Air Transport Association. That's their code, their license number. Now we're getting into the body of the shipment itself. Where are goods coming out of? Well, Manchester is well north of London, and all direct, not all, but most direct flights going from England certainly to Boston, where this shipment will be going, are going to come out of the London area. Every airport around the world, and I'm sure you've seen this as a traveler, has a three-letter uppercase acronym used to identify it. Boston is BOS. John F. Kennedy in New York is JFK. London Heathrow is LHR. So that's the origin airport. So we automatically know, or should know, that because Manchester is a fair distance from London, that there's going to be inland freight. A truck has to go from Manchester to deliver this cargo down to the freight forwarder here in London. There's a charge associated with that. Who pays it? The Incoterm will designate who pays that charge. Moving on, it's going to Boston. Boston is 100 miles from Springfield. Springfield is in western Massachusetts, so the closest airport is BOS. The carrier, and that's going to be selected by the freight forwarder, is BA, British Airways, on Flight 494. The currency that we're looking at for the charges on the airway bill itself, the actual shipment, are in UK pounds. That's the pound symbol. UK is not on the euro. They're on the pound still. This designates who's paying the freight. This is associated with the Incoterm as well. Is it prepaid, freight being paid by Cromwell, or is it collect to the company in Springfield? In this case, it's prepaid. But also be assured that this point was negotiated well ahead of time, at least it should have been, and can be consistent with the Incoterm used. Our declared value for carriage, that's transportation, 2,000 pounds. Declared value for custom, 2,000. Let's get into our quantities and descriptions. We have 2 pallets, 100 kilos each. Of course, that's 200 kilos. The rate, this is the air freight rate, 2 UK pounds per kilo for a total of 400 pounds. What are we shipping? Pewter serving bowls. Product description. Remember we talked about the 3 C's of documentation? Complete, consistent, and correct. If this description is different from the commercial invoice that is provided by Cromwell, that's a big problem. And Customs and Border Protection in Boston will pick up on that and stop the shipment. We need to know the country of origin for customs clearance purposes, for determining if any customs duties are due. If it says here country of origin England, and on the commercial invoice it says country of origin China, that's a big problem too. The goods could very well be in England, but if they were made in China, they are of China origin. So the country of origin is where the goods are made, not where they're shipped from. So that's an important point. And then just moving over here, for the actual charges, prepaid. This means that the seller, Cromwell is paying all of these charges, which come down to 400, some other charges, due agent, these are documentation fees and such to prepare the airway bill, the export customs clearance maybe. The bottom line is Cromwell Sterling in Manchester, England is going to have to pay the freight forwarder at LHR 550 pounds. So this is an illustration of an airway bill, a ticket for cargo, in this case for air cargo. So we talked again about complete, consistent, and correct. As you tie in commercial docs, commercial invoices with packing lists and such, with transport docs, that's where that 3 C's factor becomes even more important.